People, we're talking about the best ROI you're going to make when it comes to investment ever. How does that sound? That sounds kind of cool, huh, guys? We're going to be talking about email marketing. Email marketing when you already have all those people right in front of you. Instead of walking right by them, blowing them off, we're going to be talking about the people you have right next to you that can make you guys money. We are hanging out with none other than the dudes from Sherwood Marketing, and we are excited about this. You know why? Because Anthony and Nick actually learned how to use a computer, and they now are in front of us where we can see their faces, and they're going to help us learn about email marketing. What's up, dudes?
Hey.
What's up, man? Love the energy.
I don't. What better intro can you get than that?
Exactly.
I think you edified us and you insulted us.
The reason I said that because Nick he was a little shy. We couldn't see his face, but now look at his face. He should be on the cover of GQ, Gentleman's Quarterly. You like that, Nick?
Appreciate
it. You're so young you never heard of that, right? Just kidding. You're not young. Well, you're young, but then again, you've obviously been marketing for a long time. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Nick, and then also Anthony, you do the same because you guys have credibility. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my background is in direct response marketing. So I was a copywriter for a little while, and then in 2019, I kind of went all in on email. So I've been doing it since 2019. So not that long. So it's been almost 5 years. But since then, yeah, I've learned a lot and been really in it. So, it ain't the years, it's the miles.
Yeah, you're rocking it. There's no doubt. Anthony, go ahead. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I've been around this game, growing my own businesses and helping others, since 2007. So what's that, like 17 plus?
Yeah, you've been around for a while. Yeah.
Well, you talk about like miles, like there's some miles there, and I usually equivalent to like dog years. It's like internet years, online years, dog years. It's like there's a lot of wisdom that's been built up from a lot of pain, trial and error, all that kind of stuff that you go through when you're in business and you're trying to figure things out. But yeah, so we've everything from offer optimization, looking for the high leverage points in a business where there's just kind of profit locked up, right? It's where you're missing it, and there's so many different ways to approach that, and everybody's a little bit different, it seems, because not everybody has everything dialed in at the different parts of their business, and oftentimes we find that they're just leaving a crap ton of money on the table, and so whether it be, hey, you're missing some stuff over on LinkedIn, or maybe your email's not dialed in. Maybe you're not even getting delivered in the inbox like you think you are. I mean, there's so many things that can happen in this game that oftentimes you don't even see because it's like brewing below the surface. And just because of the different stuff we've been involved in and the experiences that we have, we're able to go in and figure those things out most times and bring them to the surface and fix them and make them better.
Yeah, so let's talk about it because I opened with email marketing. It's kind of funny that people will spend whatever, it seems like hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions on marketing trying to get new people in the door when, well, you have a database of whatever 100,000 people. Why not just work on on those people because they already know your name, hopefully they like you, and they're probably going to be stickier, meaning they'll stick with you longer if you have some service issues or whatever the case is. I've never understood that, why people will walk over their own database, and their own database is going to make them a lot more money,
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's easier to focus on the front end.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, if we want more sales or whatever, just go throw more money in the front end, right? Buy some more ads, buy some more media. And, a lot of these folks, they have, a salesperson or a sales team or some type of sales process. And usually if it's a sales team, the sales team isn't too excited about going after leads they've already talked to and said no, right? So there's a lot of that. And then if you're booking their calendars, they want those fresh, new, hot leads that are coming through, which, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it goes back to the whole idea of being as efficient as possible. And depending on what's going on in the market, like we see in the recent years here, you got to be as diligent as possible about squeezing as much ROI as you can out of your marketing efforts. And so there's just, there's so much there to consider, and you're right. People, there's like, you know what? So it's not working. Let's just buy some more leads. Let's
Yeah.
go get some more. It's like, yeah, you want new leads, but you also want to make sure that you're dialing stuff in on the back end. I mean, I would say, Nick, that's what we see a lot of in that, a lot of waste that goes on there in that realm. What you say?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is you can only be good at so many things. So people get good at one thing and they're not going to focus on that piece of the business, I think, because there's so many things that go into it. You have to, I mean, on the technical side, you can't just be emailing your entire database or you're going to send yourself to spam because you're going to burn up your domain reputation. Let's say you don't know that and you're like, oh, we were emailing to a bunch of people and yeah, we did that before. We made that mistake. So now they file away ever emailing those unengaged leads. That's one issue. Or um, they're just using the same kind of copywriting tactics they use on the front end on the ad to bring them in, and they're only going after a very small segment that is ready to buy right now, which is going to be what 1 to 3% of your list or anybody in your market really, because you need to learn to educate them and guide them through the customer journey, and people just they don't have time. And then I don't blame them either. What are they going to do? Hire an agency to take care of them? We've all been burned by agencies, so it's difficult.
Yeah, and we're not saying that agencies are bad, right? There's some great ones. We're friends with some really good ones.
Yeah.
Some that are even in the, you know, the group we're in, Kenner. But it's just that it's not like we were talking kind of in the green room. Like you don't specialize; they don't specialize in it, and so you can't go as deep as you'd like to go because you're responsible for trying to serve all of your clientele as an agency, and oftentimes you got to try to systematize, and it becomes sort of a kind of a one size fits all type of thing, and it's you just can't do that anymore in this environment. You have to be able to customize things and to really personalize things in a way that will resonate with folks, especially right now. People are holding on to their pocketbooks a little bit tighter for
Oh,
various reasons. So, you know, you've got to be able to build that trust and to bring them the level of insight that they're looking for in order for them to make a buying decision.
Yeah, well, okay, let's use us as a little case study. This will be fun. As I've told you guys, we suck at marketing. Sorry to be so frank, but we do. But we're pretty good at email marketing, I would say. So why not use us as a case study? Ask me, help me to improve on my email marketing. So just to set the groundwork, we have in our database, we have 12,000 people, of which mainly we have those emails. We're basically merging with a law firm. So we have another 6,000 on top of that. And then I just found out that we have another 26,000, believe it or not, that we haven't even added in our database. So whatever that adds up to. So we have a lot of people that should be a part of our database. Anyway, and we just now are starting to email market to them. Okay. We just started in April. So, all right, give us some suggestions, and maybe some of the listeners and viewers out there will be able to take some of those suggestions and apply them to their business. And maybe your suggestions are going to be so good they're going to end up wanting to hire you guys. And of course, we can't forget your contact information. So let's get right to it.
Well, first question, I mean, I need to get some more information out of you. You know, what are your open rates like, and how many emails a week are you sending?
Ooh, this kind of makes me nervous because you guys are masters, but I'll just tell you, our open rates are unbelievable because people have to open our emails because we're in tax and qualified plans. So believe it or not, and this is a true number, I know this number is 52%. So it's massively high, right? And we are usually, send them 2 times a week. We send them, I think, on Wednesday and Sunday morning, I believe.
Okay, and are you guys running ads to acquire more leads, or how are you guys getting?
No, we should be.
Leads?
I know we should be. No, we're not. We
So it's
just
like SEO
email
and
market
organic.
or dudes we know are getting referrals.
Get referrals. Okay. I mean, just based off of that, I would say email more, right? If you email more, there's one thing that the audience can take from what you said is like they need to open my emails. I think people talk about subject lines, they talk about open rates and stuff, but what they never talk about is who the email is coming from. I think that's the most important thing in email marketing, because there's certain people in your inbox that you just open the email no matter what they say. You didn't even look at the open rate subject line. That's where you kind of want to get to.
Okay, that's a good. Let me stop you there if you don't mind. So I know the rules have changed. I think just a couple of weeks ago. Can you outline a little bit of those changes and maybe how you guys are good at warming up email blast lists?
Yeah, so I think
Yeah,
you're
because Nick, because he said he has three different segments, right? He's got his own, he's got the law firms, and he's got, I don't know if it's a colder list or what, but he's got
26,000. Yeah, that's a colder list that we should have been marketing
so
to
each
all
one of
on.
those so each one of those has a different approach, and this is where it gets really tricky, and it's where a lot of people lose the game. So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll bring it back to that. But what you were referring to, Kenner, I believe, is earlier this year when Google and Yahoo and some of these ISPs, internet service providers, um, made some changes, some updates, and now you have to, if you're a bulk sender, if you're anyone sending over more than 5,000 emails a day, or if you have a large list, I mean, I would just recommend anybody doing bulk emails, which is your mass emailing to, and even if it's 500 people, that's mass emailing. It's not one-to-one. And you now have to set up your authentication, which is your SPF, DMARC, and DKIM. It's kind of technical stuff, but you have to make sure that's set up. And then you have to have one-click unsubscribe, and you have to keep your spam complaints under 0.3%. So I think that's what you're referring to.
And you guys do all that stuff, right?
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
we help
good.
people set it up there
As a service.
Yeah, as a service. Yeah, we help people set up. But in your case, you have 26,000 people. You can't just blast all of them because your spam rate would be above 0.3% unless they really remembered who you are, which realistically, they're not going to remember who you are.
No.
So in a situation like that, it also depends on how old this database is. So if you have a large database like that, what I would recommend is probably scrubbing the list if it's over 6 months old. Scrubbing meaning make sure it's validated. You can go to Dbounce or Never Bounce. Those are two websites. It should cost like about a little bit less than a penny per subscriber to be able to validate it and make sure there's no spam traps or anything like that. Then you're going to want to split this list up. This is what I would do. It might take some time, but I would split it up into maybe 5 or 10,000 people instead of the full 20,000, and then kind of remind them who you are and why they may have signed up, or let's say, hey, you downloaded one of my free ebooks. I've done a horrible job at emailing you. Here's that ebook again, just in case. Here's my website if you want to check it out. I'm going to do better at bringing you guys more content every week. So plan to see 1 or 2 emails. If you don't want to get emails, here's the unsubscribe button. That's another thing. One-click unsubscribe. That's one of the things I mentioned in the new updates. A lot of people have been trying to hide their unsubscribe, or they just never put one in because they're like, hey, then people won't unsubscribe. Well, people press spam when they do that. So just make it right there. I'm a big fan of just putting it at the top and the bottom to say, hey, if you want to unsubscribe, do it right here. It'll drive down your unsubscribe rates. And realistically, you're not going to convert somebody that doesn't want to get emails from you.
Totally. Yeah, I get you. I get it. So you're an advocate of making it easier to unsubscribe because those are don't wanters. You don't want them to mess up your numbers anyway if they don't want to hear about it.
100%.
Yeah, that's a vanity metric for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, awesome. This is awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. And again, all the stuff we're talking about, you guys provide as a service to entrepreneurs.
That's correct.
Okay, and before I forget, because I always do, how does one get a hold of you if they're interested in learning about email marketing or your services?
Yeah, so we're gonna so I want to give everybody an opportunity. Nick, we're gonna make that available for them, right? The anti-spam system. So we're gonna give everybody our like systematic approach, our guide that they can plug in that will keep them out of spam.
Oh, I like that. My listeners and viewers are going to love that. Thanks. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just send an email over to anthony@anthonysimone.com and just put the word anti, or not spam, but email guide in the subject line, and I'll send them over the PDF for that.
Can you spell that for me?
Yeah, so it's Anthony at Anthony Simone, ANTHONY Simone SIMONIE.com.
Awesome. Thanks. So I digress. I shouldn't have cut you off, but keep going. This is great. I mean, this is something that our viewers and listeners need because, again, it's a lot less, it's just so much more economic and efficient to be able to work with your own database. It's unbelievable. So please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think people, one of the main beliefs that you have to kind of overcome is that you're going to annoy your subscribers, or you don't want to annoy, or the unsubscribe thing. People, that's a huge thing. People hate seeing unsubscribes. It's like a piece of them going with the other person because they're like, oh man, it's a vanity metric, like you mentioned, it's part of their ego. Like at the end of the day, you want the people that are interested in what you provide, and if you're providing, value, people are going to stay on the list. And some people, like, I know I'm a slow kind of warm up person. I'll stay on somebody's email list for a long time before I purchase from them, maybe even a year. It's like there's multiple examples where I've stayed on emails for a long time. So I would say don't be afraid to email more, but
Hmm.
ensure the quality is there. You're providing value, and don't be afraid to give away some of your best stuff, because most of the people are busy. They're not going to take every single thing you're doing and implementing it. Like we might give you a lot of stuff here, and you might be like, man, I don't want to implement that anti-spam thing. Um, because there's a bunch of steps that are involved, and so you might hire us, right? That would be an example of us just giving it all away. There you go, it's right there, you can use it. And I think not enough people do that.
Oh, I understand. I totally get it. So now going a little bit more into our story. So, we email twice a week, and it sounds like we should be doing that a little bit more. And we really try not to brag about ourselves. We try to add value. And then if someone wants to at the end, we might have a little link, towards a piece of content that also hopefully adds value, but also has a little bit more of well, this is what we do. So the reason I mentioned that, what kind of content would you prefer when we're trying to warm up, I guess, the email list?
Okay, so this depends but essentially there's kind of a flow that I have that kind of seems to work for warming up these cold leads. And I already laid out the first emails. You kind of remind them who you are. The second
Mm-hmm.
email, you might ask for a reply, because that also helps with your domain reputation. It whitelists it so you won't go to spam, and maybe you can give them a free bonus, right? Hey, if you hit reply, just because we haven't been doing this in so long, we don't know who's opening and who's not. You can just give them a reason why, and you ask
Mm-hmm.
for a reply to get a free bonus. And then the third email, you again share maybe a link to something on social or some other longer formed material that you want them to consume, such as like a YouTube or a podcast or something like that. Mainly what you're looking for in the first three emails is engagement, which is an open or a click, because then you can move them to your engaged kind of list, and then they can just get the regular emails. So it's not like you have to have some big strategy or a bunch of campaigns. This can be really done in three emails. I've found that if somebody doesn't open up in the first three emails, they're pretty much not going to. You might get one or two, you might get a small percent, but 90% of people are going to open in the first three emails.
I understand. And then it sounds like short subject lines, correct?
Yeah, short, under 7 words. Everything, and very conversational too. It's not like, hey, not, it doesn't need to be real corporate-y or very like in depth. Like, hey, this is so and so. We do XYZ. You may remember us from XYZ. Or, hey, we did a great video on XYZ. We thought you'd be interested. Here's the link. Like, we're talking
Mm-hmm.
very short. Kind of email was created to, be a conversation tool between, colleagues and stuff at work. It's like that. It's like almost like a text message. You're just trying to open up a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I understand. Then what about the thought of free community? Because here, I'll give an example. So we blast email twice a week, and then we are now providing a community, what we call the Vast Vault. There's a free community where we give, let's just say, some stuff, if you will, but the some stuff leads to our paid community. That it's only $29 a month. Does that make sense? So it's hoping, almost to a certain extent, it's getting away from the email blast, because people are going to be joining our community, and we're going to be able to throw out information and content within that closed off community, though it's free. Make sense? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, Anthony, you want to tackle this one? I know you have a little bit more experience with communities and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the getting people into that community, like you could have a whole entire email campaign that puts people into that community,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that we would call like a rainmaker campaign that we would create, where it's like we get them really excited about what's in this community, give them, almost make them feel what other people are feeling and experiencing inside the community,
Mm-hmm.
and then making them also feel like they're missing out on that. And so we probably would, just like giving you some more tips here, we would not put links in those emails. We would just build up a crazy amount of anticipation and excitement and social proof and credibility, and build this incredible bond around this thing. And then when we open the gates, we would just have an influx of folks coming into that community, and kind of just flooding in. to the community all at one time, and creating like an impending event versus like, hey, here's this thing and just whatever, join whatever. We want to intentionally, and we're not going to Chat GPT for this, by the way. This is all based off of like your tonality, your mission, your flavor, if you will, so that people can really resonate with that. It's really important, and that's one of the areas that people miss it by a country mile. It's everybody uses Chat GPT now, including agencies. And Nick and I, part of the services that we offer go in on the back end and convert more sales that have people that have said no to their offers. And in that process, we find a lot of issues with email.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times people don't even realize they have an issue. We find it and we're like, look, because Nick and I just, we feel like we have a fiduciary responsibility that we are not going to send emails if the email environment has a problem. If there's a risk of burning that domain, we aren't doing it. We aren't doing it for any amount of money because it's not worth it. So we typically bring that to the offer owner and we could fix it. Or sometimes they think that their agency can fix it. Either way, we just want them to get it fixed because we can't even run our play on the back end if that problem exists. So, and some of those people they still don't have it fixed.
Yeah,
it's been a couple. It goes months and months, and it was just never fixed. So, just lots of money being left on the table.
Yeah, speaking of money, what percent, I've heard different numbers, what percent of, let's say, gross revenues should someone, and I know you're going to say it matters or depends, circumstances, but how much should someone be spending on marketing on an annual basis as a percent of overall gross revenue? That's a tough question, but
that is tough.
So to follow along with exactly what you said, it depends. But what it really depends on is like, are you more of a because there's you've got like Mavericks, right, and you've got other people that are just okay, they're more conservative. So you're gonna have the Mavericks are gonna just be like, let's go, and they'll invest as long as the numbers working out. And then you got those that are conservative. They're just like, look, we just like to see, we like to invest 10% of our revenue into our marketing efforts. But I mean, at the end of the day, if something's working and you know that if you put $1 in the machine, you get $5 back, why would you not try to find all the dollars you can to put in that machine?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So there's personality involved. There's like their belief system, all that kind of stuff. Do they have here's a good one. Do they have a CFO that's like looking at the line items and going, yeah, maybe, right? And because you come from that world, right? It's like you want to, a lot of times they make take a conservative approach to it because you have a fiduciary responsibility to them. You don't want them to go out and make a really bad decision that's going to hurt their business.
Yeah. You're totally right about that. So getting back to email marketing. So what are some suggestions we haven't already talked about that you think can add value to what we're talking about or, to the marketplace in general, again, with respect to email marketing that we haven't already gone over?
Yeah, I would say, we've hit on quite a bit. I would say to kind of lay it out, I guess, don't like, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Put, email marketing on the side of your marketing budget, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, take it seriously because, we just did a presentation, right? So we were looking at these numbers according to the internet. I don't know if I believe it, but $42 ROI for every dollar you spend on email marketing.
Well, it's 1 to 40 now. The number is 1 to 40 now. And that's a real number. I mean, I've seen it. I mean, it really is interesting. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It's an interesting number.
Yeah, and if you're spending money and time, energy to acquire customers, treat them well. Once they're in your environment, that's the most difficult thing to do, really, is to get people to know about you and your business. So I would just say take it seriously. That's like an overall thing. But what that means is like when somebody signs up, deliver what you say you're going to deliver. So if you have a free ebook or whatever it is, a product, deliver to them right away. People want to see results. They want it fast. And the quicker that you can get them the results, the more money they're going to spend with you. That's a big thing. This isn't like you want somebody to convert ideally, depending on your product, but within the first week 10 days. Obviously there's longer sales cycles, and what that means is, somebody signs up, you get them what they delivered. Then you ask them, hey, did you get what you were looking for? Make sure that there's nothing messed up. Have them reply. Have a welcome sequence. Connect with them. Personalize, like Anthony said. Like share your values, share your beliefs, and kind of what you stand for, because that's how you're going to stand apart in today's market. The days of just, hey, hi, welcome, this, that, and the other, and it's kind of bland, and what everybody else is doing is just not going to work. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Well, that's a great point, because the marketing world is still, to this day, it's very most people copy other people, and that's where a lot of people got in trouble, to be honest, with email, because it used to be that you can copy somebody's stuff and do decently well if that person had some of their stuff figured out. But these days, it's just not cutting it. You have to really personalize. You got to stand out. You got to build that bond, and especially with the technology and AI and everything now, you have to intentionally create that human element. People need to feel that. It needs to be overly done, and it needs to be customized to you, who you are, your mission, all that kind of stuff. So building affinity and rapport is at the top of the list.
Yeah, Nick, you bring up a really good point, because our business, it's ridiculous, but we need people to send us their stuff, and then we have to review it to see even if we want to work with them, number one, or number two, how much we are going to charge them on an ongoing basis. Then people are like, I don't need my taxes done. I don't need any strategy done. Let's meet in a month. And then they forget who we are. So it's like, that's a painstaking issue. So now what we're doing is we're putting together, we have mass content. So we're just saying, here, that's kind of our service for the run of the mill people. And then down the road, if they want services from us, it's kind of a bonus for us, because then they'll, pay top dollar for our stuff, even though there's a long lag time. So we're making kind of the service, the real service, kind of, I won't say an afterthought, but it kind of a down the road thing. So they'll be soaking up our content, paying for some of our content kind of all along the way, because just like you're saying, Anthony, the people need to see the stuff sooner rather than later. It just doesn't work,
Yeah. Yeah, and that group that you have is pretty smart, because that's especially if you're keeping them engaged and you're delivering some good insight. I mean, that's where you should start showing people that you know what you're talking about, and it's going to create a challenge for them, because they're going to need a deeper level of like an intimate relationship with you, right? Because you can't just even if you taught them everything that it would not ever get done.
Right, I know.
And so, and what you do, I have a deep appreciation for it, because it's like, I remember the first time I realized that, like, all tax people were not created equal.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I remember the day. It was somebody, I got in contact with somebody, you know who this person is, Mike Dillard. He had a very high level group he called Elevation. He brought like the best of the best people into this as like experts. And so one of these guys that came in was Robert Kiyosaki's accounting firm, which is Tom Wheelwright, right?
Yep.
Tom Wheelwright's firm in Scottsdale. And I lived in Phoenix at the time. So we get on the phone, and the whole deal was, hey, send us your stuff like you're talking about, and let's see what we got to work with. And then I send them my stuff, and they're like, hey, well, you know what? We could save you $20,000, get you $20,000 back from your past tax return. I was like, what? They're like, it's only going to cost you $8,000. And I was like, wait a minute. So if I give you $8,000, you're going to be $20,000 back? I'm like, I'm sign me up. Right? I realized it. And then at that time, I realized just how important it was to have somebody like you that can really look at what's going on and save you a crap ton of money. And I think that's really difficult for a lot of people, and probably where the education would come in with you guys is like, what is the difference? Because there is a huge difference.
Yeah. And I did not pay you to say that. Thank you very much. You're exactly right. I totally appreciate that. Because you're right. Just like there's same thing with marketing firms. I mean, you could go to a marketing firm who will, let's say I'm making this up. Let's say make you 10,000, and another marketing firm might make you 110,000. So they're not all created equal. And
one might cost you 100,000.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Good point. Well, I just think from this conversation, people have figured out you guys know what you're talking about. I mean, email marketing, it's a valuable asset. If you take advantage of it, you're probably going to make some more money than, chasing after another dollar somewhere else. So, all right, let's get ready to close up shop. So any other thoughts about, thoughts about email marketing in general, your guys' journey, anything that can add value as we are about to shut the door?
I mean, for me, I think it just all comes down to you always need to ask yourself, are you optimized? Because again, we live in this world of technology, and I think too many of us because we're human beings, we want to set it and forget it. You cannot set it and forget it. So for example, if Nick and I came in and we build out this awesome email system, well, yeah, it's going to work for a while, but what if the market changes? Right? What if something else changes? Like, we got to look at that, and we always got to be on top of it, because if you're not, like, if somebody tells you you don't have to do that, they're lying. Right? Because everything changes always. And so that's the reason why people keep us around, is because, we're a paycheck. We're not a expense. So that's what we aim to be. If we can't be a paycheck, we don't want to deal with it anyway. So that just puts us in the same category with too many others.
I would even say you guys are an investment that almost guaranteed rate of return. By the way, nothing's guaranteed. This is just for illustrative fun purposes. But I would say you guys are an investment with a good rate of return, because if you guys have already shown that you guys know what you're talking about. If people are listening to you, they're spending spending X number of dollars, they're probably going to make a good rate of return on top of that because of your guys' consultation.
Yeah, well, and we also track it, so it's not most people, they don't have any clue what they're getting from their email list. No
Interesting. Clue. Yeah. And again, everything we've talked about, this is a service you guys provide. So again, they would get a hold of you. Speaking of which, one last time, does someone get a hold of you if they're interested in your services?
Yeah, so just shoot an email over to us, the easiest way to do it. So, Anthony at anthonysimoni.com. Or the other thing that we'd like to do, if you're cool with it, is a lot of people don't really know what their email environment is like. So we do what's called email optimization reviews, and we normally charge a minimum of $1,000 for that. We got a coupon code that I created for you and your people.
Ooh.
That they can get it for $1 whole. And the reason why it's $1 is because that's the minimum you could do on Stripe. So otherwise we would we would do it free. But I guess if they want the $1 back, we'd give them the $1 back too. It's no big deal. But,
and what's the code? How do they redeem that?
So go to makeemailprofitableagain.com, and the coupon code is Kenner, KENNER.
Make email profitable
again.com. And it has no political affiliation, just in case anybody's like,
yeah, I gotcha. And then email. All right, cool, man. I really appreciate that. I mean, I love that you guys spent the time, talking to our audience, because I'm sure I'm hoping someone's going to take advantage of this, because it sounds like, hey, if you're charging $1,000, it's obviously a value. And if you're doing it for our people, I really do appreciate that. I seriously do.
And I think it's worth mentioning too, like that review, it will, and Nick, you could kind of summarize it, but like, it's going to give you really just, it's like a grade card. It's like, where are you at? Where are the opportunities? And we hand it over to you in a detailed report. So
I dig that.
The deliverability, we make sure your authentication, all that stuff is set up correctly. So your foundation's set up, and then your automations, how everything is kind of connected. So all the technical pieces to the actual offer in the copy.
Wow. I totally appreciate that. Thanks, you guys. I mean, on behalf of all the people out there who probably should be taking advantage of it, I really hope they do, but I really do appreciate you guys doing that. That's awesome. I mean, giving up $1,000, that's obviously you guys are rich, so it's nothing to you guys, but for me, it's something. All right, dudes. I really appreciate it. All right. Hey, everyone out there, thank you for sticking with us. It's been a fun 30, 35 minutes. I've learned a lot. Hopefully you guys have learned a lot too. Once again, this is Kenner, and I'm with VastSolutionsGroup.com. You're watching and listening to the Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, you.